Hello, this is Ryan Oates. Welcome to the second in a series of videos about the Lowell State Legislature races for 2026. I'm here today with incumbent and also candidate for the 18th Middlesex District, Tara Hong. Thank you for joining me.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. I want to start before we jump in. So we'll talk about the district, and then we'll start to get into a little bit about you, your background, and then, all the policy issues. So
sounds good.
Cool. So could you describe, for folks who are less familiar, what is the 18th Middlesex District?
Mm-hmm. So the 18th Middlesex District, it's include the Upper Highland, the Lower Highland, and the Acre neighborhood. What I like to say is when I explain to my colleagues at the statehouse or people around the city is that I like to say is from the Songas Arena all the way to Cross Point. That is counted as my district, the 18th Middlesex District.
So, given that context, let's talk about your backstory. I think a lot of people who are engaged in Lowell politics are very familiar with your backstory, but for folks who are less familiar, how did you originally come to run for the state rep position the first time around and second? And why are you running again?
A little bit about myself. So I'm originally from Cambodia. I came to the United States with my family, with my dad, whose sponsor is here, in 2013. I came here like many other immigrants. We just want to find the opportunity to start a new life, just start over, so we can find path for our own success in this country. When I came here, I came straight to Lowell. I went to Scott Middle School for my 7th grade to 8th grade there. And then I went to Lowell High School, graduate there. And then I went to UMass Lowell, graduate there in 2022. And the reason why I decided to start involve myself in community and make decision to run for state representative for the first time in 2022 was during COVID, I volunteer myself in nonprofit work, by on the ground work, help deliver diaper, deliver food when needed. Got assigned by the nonprofit back then, with different addresses to go around to, and during that time, I start seeing the impact of our community. That there's a lot of people are struggling in a community from the COVID itself, but also they cannot pay their rent or buy their food to feed their family, right? And I didn't see my state representative back then as active as it should be to continuing promote and help provide resource and information to those in need in our community. So after college, at 21 years old, turning 22, I was like, why not, right? Why not put my name in the race? I have idea. I just graduated with a political science major. I understand my community, and why not put my name in the race and run and to bring better perspective to the table. So that's why I ran the first time in 2022. I ran in 22 with the main 3 platform, which is better constituent service, education, and affordable housing. We knocked on a lot of door. For the first funny story that I like to tell is that the first 3 months of my campaign, people in the neighborhood, in the community was like, are you even old enough to vote yet? And then it took us about 3 months to explain to people that we are serious candidate. We are here to bring better perspective, and we'll work for you to make our community better. But in 2022, I lost to the incumbent by 56 vote. 56 votes showing that people want change, right? So I continue doing the work. I continue being out there in the community, make connection, understand more issue in our city and our district, and then I decide to run again in 2024 with the same 3 platform, which is better constituent service, education, and affordable housing, because nothing have been improved in that time between 22 to 24, and we work really hard as a team. Knock on a lot of door, have a lot of personal conversation, and we won by close to 100 vote to the incumbent. And so far, I really enjoy and love this position. It's been a year and 4 months in so far, and I'm really honored to be in this role, to able to do a lot of a good thing to bring resource from the state to our city and advocate for issues that matter most to all of us.
Let's hold on that. So you mentioned 3 areas: education, affordable housing, and constituent services. Could you describe in the year and 4 months so far how you've prioritized those things?
Right. So constituent service was our top priority in both campaigns. Including this one as well. I'm running for my re-election. The reason why I say constituent service because majority of our job as a state representative is to find a way to help support community members, those need the access to the resource from the different state agency, right? From unemployment case to seek for housing, or have any question about education system and those kind of stuff, that you, a state representative, become like a resource place for people to come to, so we can navigate and help our community together. And as in my first term so far, we prioritize our constituent service by always be accessible to our community, always answer phone call and email when people reach out to us, and help find different way as much as we can to help people in our community to address issues that matter most to them. Even sometimes if we cannot solve the problem together, I find different people at the state side that are able to help provide those resources, so that way no one can be left behind. For example, lately, because of what's going on from the federal government, all the chaotic from the federal government, a lot of people are depending on the unemployment benefit that we have here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. To navigate through the system, the department itself to apply for unemployment can be really complicated and take a lot of time, right? But if you reach out to when community reach out to my office, we can help walk you through the process by reaching out to our contact at the Department of Unemployment Assistance to help move the case along, and so that way everyone can get the benefit as soon as they can, so they can pay their rent or buy food for their family, right? And for affordable housing, I have been, since I got in, I work closely with Low Housing Authority to be able to help secure the funding for their project that they are working on right now, the 118 unit affordable housing on the Merrimack corridor for their project over there. We able to work closely together to secure that funding, to able to get a little bit over $8 million tax credit from the state side, to able to start their project. So I'm really excited to see that, and really a great opportunity to be able to work closely with them to bring more affordable housing to our city. And education, it's a tough issue, especially what's going on right now in our city related to all the cuts.
People are scared to hear of these cuts because they think it's going to really impact student learning, the school communities.
But I'm proud to last budget season, fiscal year 26, the state as a whole will vote to increase 6.7% of our Chapter 70. That mean that we put more funding into our educational system as a whole, and that's what I'm keeping an eye out right now, because this is a budget season, that the House budget should come out next week. So I'm keeping an eye on that to see how can we continue support each other on that. Yeah.
Great. The next thing I kind of want to bring to folks' attention is that you have a challenger. Yep. Current city councilor, former Mayor Sokhary Chau is running against you in this position. One thing I think is helpful is to just hear how candidates differentiate themselves. How do you see yourself as different from Sokhary Chau?
I respect Councilor Chau. He has served in the council for District 6 for a few terms now. What I believe the difference between me and him is that I have been doing the work for the district since I got elected about a year and 4 months ago. This is my first term. Nothing is perfect. Everyone make mistake. I admit I make some mistake or make a wrong decision in beginning of my term. But that is the only way to that how you address the issue to make better, right? As a state representative, it's not an easy position. There's 160 of us across the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. During my time in this term, first term so far, my main goal is to build relationship with the State House when I'm in the building with other colleagues, get to know each other, build those partnership and relationships so we can address issues that matter most all of us. Because when it's not like the council. There's a lot of us, not just 11 member. You need to learn how to build relationship with each other, and that's how you can move stuff along with the agenda that you fight for. The other difference also is that, my commitments in the beginning is constituent service for this position, and that's what I have been delivered from, again, helping people in so many different ways. I don't believe also this is the time to really have a brand new delegation to go to the State House because as we know, there's the two other position in low, the 16 and the 17 as open seat right now, and we need to have at least some experience on the state side to able to continue and work together and guide us all to work at the State House. The building itself is big. There's a lot of people, different state representatives that have different opinion, different priority. But as my time in so far, I able to build those connections and able to work with with everybody to get the job done for our community.
So you touched on something that I want to come back to in a little bit, which is kind of the how of getting things passed and what that looks like. I sent out a questionnaire to a lot of my listeners, and some people had questions about that, kind of the process of passing legislation. So we will get to that in a second. I want to start just by talking about some issues. So let's talk about housing. I'll start by saying, for me as an individual, as a young adult, housing's way too expensive.
I agree.
And whether you're talking about formally affordable housing, or if you're just talking about market rate housing, rent is too high. The cost of owning a home is ridiculous. My parents owned a home when they were in their early 20s. I have a master's degree. I teach in a nice district, and it's still out of reach for me and my wife right now. And so I want to ask, what is your theory of the case? How do you plan to bring down the cost of housing, both rent and ownership?
Mm-hmm. Well, I fully agree with you. The housing right now is really expensive, and nobody can really afford it from either own a house or pay their rent, right? I'm renting right now with my girlfriend in the Acre neighborhood, and just 2-bedroom itself is like over $2,500 a month, and that's based on the government salary. That's barely afforded. That's just for rent, but also you have to pay for our food, paying utility, and so on. That's why I put housing as my priority, to find a way to make it more affordable for all of us, right? And I understand it's not just me encounter this hardship from paying our rent, but everybody else as well in our community, especially in the city of Low. To address the housing situation, I think we just need to be honest about it, right? Continue working closely with nonprofit leader that already working in a and fighting for build more affordable housing in our community, from Lower Housing Authority to Merrimack Valley Housing Partnership to CBA, Coalition for Better Acre. They are been a leader in addressing this housing crisis in our city of Lowell itself, to able to fight to bring down the cost from renting and from renting or owning your own home. We need more housing to able to alleviate some of those costs, right? The less housing we have, the price gonna go up because everybody competing for that thing, right? But I'm committed to continue working with all of them to be able to address the housing crisis that we have in our city, but across the Commonwealth of Massachusetts as well. I've been have close conversation with the chair of housing to try to voice my opinion and voice my understanding about what my community needs, so we can address this issue together on the House side. So, yeah.
Let's get granular. So you laid out two kind of areas there. So nonprofits and trying to support affordable housing.
Mm-hmm.
And then we talked about this idea of building more in order to balance out supply and demand. And on the market rate side, what kind of policies would you be advocating for to expand the supply of housing?
I think the easy way to answer this is that we need more space and more land to build more housing, right? And not just in the city of Lowell, but across the Commonwealth. We cannot let the city take all the burn to build in every single space that we have. We need to expanding it to other area across the state that have empty land or way more land than we have in the city, to be able to construct more housing that can help alleviate some of the costs, the effect that we have right now. I know that the Affordable Home Act, before I got in, that passed by the state legislature and signed into law by the governor, that's been really a beneficial for all city and town across the Commonwealth, to be able to have those the funding resource to apply for and get it, to be able to build more housing with the goal that they have. Like the city of Lowell have our own goal, other town and city have their own goal to be able to hit that mark to help fight and address the housing crisis.
So I hear that point on we need to work all together as a state to alleviate. You can't just put all the housing in Lowell and put, in one place. And I think that makes a lot of sense. Some of the particular policies that are out there right now, conversations. So there's a ballot initiative likely to be on the ballot in November about minimum lot sizes. So for folks who are less familiar, like there's some land use regulations in different towns and cities. And there was a report from the Boston Globe that many municipalities in eastern Massachusetts have areas with a minimum lot size of 1 acre or 2 acres. So saying if you want to build a house, you can only build one house per acre or one per 2 acre. And there's a ballot initiative that's looking at reducing minimum lot sizes so that we could build more houses. Is that something you would consider?
This, to be honest with you, this is the first time I heard about it.
Okay.
But I will have to take a look more about it to understand more before I take a position on it. But it so far sounds very good to me.
Yeah, because it gets complicated when you look at the specific size,
That's right.
etc.
Yeah.
Okay, fair. So my next kind of question on this area is, would that mean allowing more two-family zoning in other towns and cities, more multifamily zoning in some towns and cities in order to alleviate the need for more housing?
I would say so. Yes. We are in the housing crisis right now in our state. If there is new idea or new policy that can help alleviate the cost, the effects of it, to help save everybody in our state, in the country in general, let's try it out and see how it works, right? We cannot continue staying in the same policy that does not work for this generation right now. If there is an opportunity to try it out with the idea that you have, you mentioned, I think there is something that we should look into it and see how can it work and how expensive it's going to be, and how much it will help alleviate the housing crisis that we have in our state right now.
The next question is a little controversial.
Yep.
There are a lot of people in Lowell who are talking about rent control.
Mm-hmm.
I have my own thoughts on it, but I think it would be helpful for transparency's sake for people to understand your view on the possibility of rent control being on the ballot in November.
So I support rent control since the beginning of my first time running for this position. Because when I got elected, I filed a bill called an act to establish Rent Stabilization Commission. And the bill that I filed is mainly focused on let's create a commission to learn more. Can rent stabilization, the other fancy way to say rent control, can it work or not in our state of Massachusetts, right? If it work, how can we implement it? If it doesn't work, how can we find a different solution to help addressing the housing crisis situation right now with everything so expensive in our Commonwealth? And I believe that if the ballot make it through November and pass, I think that is something that we all should take a look into more deeper to see how can we implement it in for the right way, so that way nobody get hurt financially for landlord or other nonprofit own those kind of stuff, right? How can we implement in a way that doesn't affect and doesn't make people hurt financially in our state? But if we can work through those tactic or policy together and make it implemented well, that is something that I'm all for it. Yeah.
This gets to a topic that I think I was planning on speaking about later, but I think it fits here. So there has been a surge in ballot initiatives. I think there are like 11 that are potentially going to...
A lot of them, yes.
It's a lot. So when I asked people questions they had, one of the questions was, Beacon Hill is experiencing a surge of ballot initiatives. Should the leadership see this as a reflection of a too tight control on the legislative process? And my understanding of the critique that I've seen around is that leadership of the House, leadership of the Senate have in various ways leverage over state representatives, state senators in a way that prevents open dialogue and kind of discourse about things, which can prevent things from going through. That's kind of the critique that I see around. I'm wondering how you feel about that. What do you think about that?
I think that the comment relate to House leadership run the state house of make a bill harder to move, those kind of stuff. In my experience, in this 1 year and 4 months in so far in my first term, I don't believe that comment is true in my own opinion, because since I got into this role, I have an open relationship and open conversation with the House leadership, from the Speaker itself, Speaker office, to the Chairman office, to Majority Leader, and everybody else that in the leadership or been there longer than I am, right? I have those open relationship to able to work closely with them, and if I have any question or concern, I always go to them, call them, give them a call or text them. They always answer back, right? I think with the a lot of criticism to our state legislator, to the state legislator itself, most of them is incorrect in a way that to able to move things along to pass into law, there is a process that we follow under the Massachusetts Constitution. There's a step by step on what committee it should go to, public hearing, and what the next committee it should go to. There's public hearing and those kind of stuff, right? To be able to even get to the House floor to vote on. There is a process in play that created by our founding father, that I believe that it working to save and protect our institution that we have right now in our state. And if we look at the federal government right now, right, with what's going on over there, from the White House to Congress, the Republican Congress, and the Republican White House, it's really hurting in our institution that our founding father was create this country in the first place. It hurting and in the sense of overreaching the power of one branch to the other. And that is something that I am worried about from the federal government, because as someone who came from a third world country, one party rule country, this is something that's a big red flag to hurting our democracy. And that's why I'm bringing this example, because on the state side, even though I fully agree, the bill is sometimes take really long, many years to pass into law in certain bill, but purposely in the sense of how can we follow all the procedure to make and all the steps to make it right for each of our community here in the Commonwealth, right? Some bills be really straightforward, but it can work. It can work for Lowell, but it might not work for, say, Springfield or other part of the Commonwealth, right? So there's a step and process there. That's why it can be really complicated to follow, and it can be really frustrated sometimes. But in my experience, my relationship with them as the state representative for the 18th Middlesex District for my first term, it's been really transparent and open with the leadership.
Let's talk about taxation. So I'm of the mind that in order to have the best quality of life for people in Massachusetts, we need to have well-funded state services. So whether that's education or whether that's state support for improving roads, etc. When we talk about increasing affordable housing, being able to fund that comes at a cost, right? So we need to raise money somehow. So I'm wondering, from your perspective, I guess, do you agree with that? And then also, how would you propose raising revenue for the state?
Well, one of the things that we are leaning on right now is the fair share amendment that passed a few years ago, that been really beneficial for be able to use that revenue for education and transportation, right? This year we got a little bit over, forget my math, but a little bit over $1 billion in revenue itself, just from the fair share, the money tax to rich tax, right? That is something that we should look into either again or reevaluate it on how can we use the revenue more that benefit our either education or transportation, or we can include more like housing stuff in there too, right? I know that I heard there's a few conversation about it from some people that I'm open to have more conversation about it to see how can we use our revenue from the people tax, from my tax, everybody tax money in the revenue in our state to use for the right cause, benefit all of us for the improvement in our Commonwealth, right? I don't have forward answer for you. That is something that in my first term I'm still trying to understand more about it and how can we address it together in a way that benefit all of us.
One of the policies that I've been advocating for and that I know has received some grassroots support is similar to that fair share tax amendment, whereas the fair share amendment was a tax on income above $1 million,
right,
and didn't touch any income before that. That's more of like an individual income tax. There is a bill about, look at it, an act combating offshore tax avoidance.
Okay.
So right now, large corporations will dodge Massachusetts state taxes by hiding their money overseas in these offshore tax havens. Estimates from Mass Budget are that about $400 million in revenue is lost to this practice. And so there's a proposal to basically increase the share of those hidden taxes that we tax to be able to bring in that additional revenue. Is that something you would be supportive of?
Yeah. I believe I co-sponsored that bill as well.
I think you did, yeah.
I fully support it in the sense of if we can hurt the big corporation, I'm all for it. Because they've been taking a lot of the advantage in our poor community, low income family, low income community across the Commonwealth and across the country. If we're able to make them pay their fair share, that I'm all for it, to support it any way I can.
Let's change gears to immigration. So you recently gave, I believe, your inaugural speech on the floor of the Statehouse. Congratulations.
Thank you.
In support of the PROTECT Act.
I rise today in strong support of the PROTECT Act. For me, the PROTECT Act is not just a good policy, it is personal. As an immigrant myself, I know how much courage it takes to come to this country and try to build a better life.
Could you describe what is the PROTECT Act? Why did we need that? And why do you support it?
The PROTECT Act itself, it's all about protecting our immigrant community, but protecting all of us as a resident and citizen of this country, right? Everybody that live in the state of Massachusetts, this bill intention is to protect us all from any unlawful arrest or just car drive by, stop by and pick you up from the federal agent, right? That's what we've been seeing across the country. It creating a more oversight in the sense of, if you are a criminal, you have to follow our justice system. So that way you have to go to court, you have to get sentenced and those kind of stuff, serve your term before you get released. No matter if you are documented or undocumented, you still have to follow our rule of law in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And the PROTECT Act also protecting our court and our school from allowing federal agent, ICE agent, to just randomly just show up and pick you up and arrest you because of who you are, what you look like, and where you come from, right? That's what we've been seeing across the country. So this bill that we passed on the House side, we just strengthen the law that we have and put more oversight to the Attorney General to give her authority to able to make decision to protect our community from relate to like justice and our judicial system, and protecting our court and make our court become a safe place for people to go if they need to go to court, this kind of stuff, without worrying that ICE is there to pick them up because of what they look like, and our school to protect our children, so ICE cannot just go in there and do what to do with it. So yeah, but I'm really honored to be able to speak on this bill as my inauguration speak, because as an immigrant myself, this bill mean a lot. As an Asian American, walking down the street since beginning of Trump administration, I was worried that I might get stopped and asked question and picked up by certain Asian in our community. We hear story. We heard about there's ICE Asian activity happen in Centerville, the Acre neighborhood, and so on, that pick up people just going to work or work on the roof, those kind of stuff. So I was scared myself as an immigrant and elected official. And this bill is mean a lot to all of us because it will strengthen the law, protecting all of us. Doesn't matter you are immigrant or born here, everyone entitled to have a rule of law that there's a system to protect all of us from just randomly got picked up by people who doesn't like you. So,
and I think it's worth noting for those who are concerned about crime and safety that the bill does allow some level of cooperation in terms of if a person has been convicted of criminal
Correct.
activity.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, we did not. There's a lot of advocacy group that want to completely eliminate the 287G agreement. 287G agreement is an agreement between Department of Homeland Security to the state that allowing them to come in and if they have like flag that there are undocumented immigrant in a community that commit a crime, ICE agent can come in and pick them up, right? We do not we still have those agreements available to partner with the federal government. This bill itself is protect immigrants that are doing good things for our community, right? Because we're seeing there's a lot of people out there that are people of color just being picked up by ICE because of who they are. Some of them didn't commit any crime. This bill itself, it do not protect criminal. There's a criminal in our state. They will have to follow the process by picking up, serve their time, or get deported. And the intention of the bill is to strengthen our judicial rule is that if what's going on with worrying some of us before we pass the law on the House side is that some undocumented immigrants who are committed crime, right? After they commit crime, they was like, I can just self-deport myself to a country, and that person who already commit bad thing, they can just go back to their country and they can even make it more harmful or whatever hurtful for their community over there, right? If they are hurting someone in our community, in our country, in our commonwealth, they have to follow the rule of law by get arrested, serve their time, and after that, that's when ICE have the authority to either deport them or take care of whatever they need to do with it. But we want everybody to follow the rule of law under this bill, and even though right now it passed the House, so it's sent to the Senate for further consideration. I know the Senate thinking of adding more stuff or tweaking some stuff in it, but we won't know until they vote on it. So yeah,
great. On the same topic, you also co-sponsored a bill that would have made it illegal for law enforcement officers to wear a mask or personal disguise. Would have required them to wear their name badge or a affirmative ID.
Yep.
As I understand it, that bill got a study order, which a lot of people say is a polite way of saying that it will not be passing.
Yeah.
Could you speak to why you supported that bill and also why you think it went to study?
Well, I support that bill because in the beginning of ICE raid across the country, ICE agency wear masks with no ID or just driving their SUV around and pick people up without need to identify themselves. And that's really fearful to all of us across the country. And say like local police, right? They have to identify themselves. They have an ID on them. They have badge number. And when we ask them to identify themselves, they have to tell us who they are and their badge number, right? Why does ICE agency don't have to do that, right? Just make it fair to all of us. People are fearful by just random guy in a mask drive by you or around you, and who knows what's going to happen to their life, right? As we see in Minnesota, Renee Good of getting shot because of the encounter with this ICE agent in Minnesota. That's something that I do not want to happen in our state. Something that do not want to happen to anywhere else at all in our country. So when this bill come up at first, that's filed by Representative Jim Hawkins, if I remember right, it was a true moment that we are standing against the Trump administration to protect on all of us by keeping all federal agency accountable of their action to serve the community for safety, not to traumatize and hurt people. That's why I co-sponsored the bill. I know that in California, they did pass the bill and sign into law by the governor. And we try to do a similar thing here, but there are a good segue into the PROTECT Act, right? This bill was filed before the PROTECT Act because of some of the bills that are filed by representatives across the Commonwealth to try to tackle on immigration issue and protect all of us. That's what we're able to come together to pass the PROTECT Act for the beneficial to keep everybody safe and follow under the rule of law together.
So it sounds like the amount of collective attention on one issue kind of just shifted toward this other policy, which arguably is more substantive.
Yep.
Yeah.
But the PROTECT Act, let me tell you a story of the PROTECT Act. The PROTECT Act was really one of the most transparent openness bill that a lot of representatives said, right? It's my first term, so I'm still learning and see how things is going at the State House and learning to be better to serve the people in the 18th Middlesex District. When the Protect Act came out the first time, the Speaker of the House called a meeting with all of us, all member, 160 of us, including Republican, to have meeting and want to hear our priority in the sense of what do you think about this bill and what else need to be added into it so we can make it better before we pass it into law. And the Black and Latino caucus are a tremendous leader in this movement and move this bill along, and the Asian caucus as well. And at the State House, we work closely with them to help move this bill and address the issue openly in the sense of, hey, there's some part missing there that we need to add in, like the school, make school a safe place so ICE cannot go in. That's one of the things that we all voice our opinion on into it, and it did make into the bill on the day off when we vote on, and expand a little bit of the timeline of the UT visa. Originally, the bill was only 30 days, but we added into I think 60 days in it. So it was the open process that we able to make this bill pass on the House side that will protect us all in our community. So
All right, I feel like we have kind of hit on immigration pretty well. I segued earlier to talking about the legislative process and forgot to talk about one more thing related to housing. So I wanted to come back to that. Lowell struggles with homelessness. There's a sizable homeless population in Lowell. When people live outside, it's not safe for them. It's also not safe for other people who want to use public spaces. And so I think we need to have a very serious and thoughtful approach to how we're going to solve this problem. And so I'm wondering, from your perspective, what should we do about homelessness?
Well, I say this in the beginning of my term is that we need to be open-minded about what kind of new policy that we can use to address homelessness, right? My take on it is that nobody wants to be homeless. It's a society itself that make people hard to fall into homelessness in our community. There's a lot of people who, because of losing their job, they cannot pay their rent and they fall into homeless, live in their car and so on, right? We have to treat this issue with empathy and willing to open our mind to address it for the beneficial that they are human as well, right? To address this issue, we have to work with experts like CTI that have been addressing this issue to help offer shelter to community members who fall under homelessness, and like a low transition on Middlesex Street, to continue working with them and help fund their program, helping provide more support and resource so we all can address this issue together. We cannot pointing finger because they live on the street. We need to support our low co-op program that we have in Low to support and provide them resources so they can go individually to talk to homeless individual and try to get them out of the street. And that's what I believe in, that we need to address this issue with open mind and empathy, that we are human, and not a lot of people, most of it does not choose to be homeless because of our society is forced them to fall. And to help fix this issue, we connect it back to housing, right? We need to find a way to build more housing so that way people can have a place to go to for safety and to live in, and more funding and supporting all those nonprofits that address the issue right now every single day head on. Just this Thursday was yesterday, CTI was at the State House doing the lobby day, trying to help keep the funding for emergency family shelter to home-based program, to keep the funding level funded or put more money into it, so that way they can use those funding from the state side to expand the resource to more people in our community that fall in this category right now. So, yeah.
I totally agree. And I think the empathy gap is just such a hard gap to address. But I think once we get there and we approach the situation with empathy, leaning on experts and leaning on the diverse kind of swath of knowledge that we have, it feels like there's so many little pieces to it to me. So what you kind of described is like sort of the immediate safety net when a person falls into homelessness, having shelter, having those things available. I totally agree. I think I also see it in terms of upstream things, prevention. We mentioned housing. I think affordable housing is a great preventative tool to prevent homelessness. As I understand it, there's huge wait lists, like years-long wait lists for affordable housing. And so ideally, you would have someone lose their job, but they're not able to pay their market rate rent. You have affordable units available, and then that person gets connected to a job, etc. But the way it works now is like there's such a long wait that there's no spot for people.
Yeah.
Right?
There is a really long waiting time, and that instead of immediately helping the individual or the family who are losing their home because they are unable to pay their rent or whatsoever, they have to wait. By waiting to able to get those support, you're gonna end up have to either serve couching or stay in your car, right? And that's what we are seeing right now in our community, where people are choose to live on the street because the process is way too long and they don't have anybody to walk them through it. And I was talking to a few member who are on the street. I asked them why you don't go to the shelter, right? They say, shelter is not safe, it's not clean. It's a long waiting line. You have to wait on the line and those kind of stuff. For that example itself, right? We have to work closely with the shelter that we have in Lowell right now to able to either help improve and fix and help support their effort on trying to addressing homelessness in our community, and help provide as many resources as we can, what they ask for, right, to build those partnerships together. I think that's the only way we can slowly to start help address this homelessness situation in our community. This issue is not just happening in Lowell, and like I work in Boston, the statehouse in Boston, and in Boston as well, you see homeless individual everywhere, from the Boston Common. If you walk from the State House through Boston Common to Chinatown, you can see them everywhere. It's not just happening in Lowell, but this conversation itself, we need to again address it and talk it, and in a sense of with open mind, with open to new idea and new perspective, and work closely with expert. And don't forget that we have to look into this topic with empathy and understand that they're all human. We all, at some point in our life, fall into that hardship. And some people lucky enough to have families to support them, but some people doesn't. And that's what hurt them and forced them to be on the street. Yeah.
Very last thing I wanted to say about it, because I think some people are probably thinking this or feeling like maybe we should mention this. So homelessness is more than just a housing problem.
Correct.
Right? So you've got people can experience homelessness because of like domestic abuse, or because of, addiction, because of, various different circumstances that can put a person in that situation. And so other things that I used to be a camp counselor for foster care camp. And I learned about the kind of exit ramp from foster care. There's a pretty large rate of homelessness among foster care people. And so like having funding for those kinds of programs that do that education, or like same for people coming out of psychiatric care or coming out of prison, etc. I'm wondering, I don't know, has that been on your radar at all, those areas?
So I not directly, but I been partnership and work closely with WinFin organization, right, in Lowell. They're a big organization. It's a statewide organization that they help address some of this issue that you mentioned, and from substance abuse to other that make people fall into homelessness or need some help mentally, right? we've been work closely with them in the sense of how can we continue support their effort with funding from the state side. And they've been a great partner, and they've been a leader in providing safe place for people and a treatment place for people as well who fall into substance abuse, and to be able to have instead of get arrested, they have a place to go to so they can walk you through the process so you can get out from that situation in your life. So there's a lot of cause and there's a lot of reason why people fall into homelessness and living on the street, but we have to go back to the idea of they are human. We need to treat them with empathy and be open-minded in how can we address this issue together, right? We cannot always say no to every new policy or new proposal policy that being put in front of us. We need to be open-minded about it.
I want to be respectful of your time. So there's one topic that I admittedly do not have a lot of expertise in, but that several members of the Cambodian community in Lowell have been asking about. Mm-hmm. So, and because I'm not as much of an expert, I've written out my ideas so I could be as careful about. Yeah. So, yeah, several people have reached out to me about your perspective on Cambodian politics. Mm-hmm. And I mean, obviously most of your job as a state legislature is about the well-being of people in Lowell, but I think people do look to their leadership to represent their beliefs in other ways as well. Right. So I guess between you and your opponent, there was one particular moment where I think your differing approaches to the Cambodian government came to light, which was back in 2023, April 25th. There's a city council meeting where I think then Mayor Chau put forward two motions that would have put Lowell on a path to becoming a sister city with Battambang and Phnom Penh in Cambodia.
Mayor Chau, myself, will request City Manager have Law Department provide a report regarding the establishment of a sister city agreement between the City of Lowell and Phnom Penh, Cambodia, referencing an MOU signed January 14, 2015. The next motion is 11.10. It's a motion, another motion by myself, request City Manager and/or appropriate department begin the process to establish a sister city agreement between Lowell and Battambang, Cambodia. Is there a second on these two motions? There are no second on these two motions, so both motions fail. Mr. Clerk?
So he had proposed that. You spoke against that motion. I have a quick quote from you, and I want to just hear your thoughts. So you said at the time,
I'm here tonight speaking in opposed to motion 11.9 and 11.10. The reason why I oppose this motion, because it is not right the time for wanting to have the process to establish the sister city agreement between Lowell and Phnom Penh or Battambang in Cambodia. Cambodia is a country that have a political issue among itself. You may already know that Cambodia, we currently have one system rule. We have a government that arrests silent people and dissolve political party who speak up and push for a change in the system. That is not democracy. Besides that, people are being killed for just doing that. It's just not right to have the motion tonight. We live in one of the most powerful countries in the world with freedom of speech, freedom of relation, freedom of the press, assembly, and the right to petition. People in Cambodia do not have that. If it was passed, the motion, you just accepting what happened in Cambodia, it's okay. As a young Cambodian American, I did not want to say this to our first Cambodian mayor, but I am deeply disappointed to see our first Cambodian American mayor for even bring this up by not understanding the problem and seeing a bigger issue, bigger picture that's going on in Cambodia.
So could you speak to why you spoke out against that motion, and how do you plan to represent Lowell's Cambodian population when it comes to the Cambodian government?
Yeah, well, thank you for bringing that question up. I think it's really important for all of us to understand, or just have a little understand about why Cambodian politics is so matter here in the city of Lowell. Lowell is the second largest Cambodian American population in the country. Sometimes I like to say we are the largest because we're the best city compared to California. I think everybody should have a little understand about why the motion should not make it through, and understand about certain people stand on Cambodian politics. Cambodian politics cut into two political parties. There's a current political rule party in Cambodia right now called the Cambodian People Party, and the opposition party, the Cambodian National Refuge Party, CNRP or CPP. CNR, as the opposition party, I have more aligned belief and policy understanding with the opposition party for one main reason. The opposition party is asking the current political party in Cambodia, the people with power, to have a free and fair election, so that way democracy can be truly served and happen in Cambodia. And right now in Cambodia, we don't have that. For example, just a few years ago, the Prime Minister of Cambodia, who's been serving as a Prime Minister for over 30 years, decided to step down. And guess what happened? When he stepped down, he handed the power to his son, the Honmanite, to able to just take over the Prime Minister, right? And no one have the ability to go against it. If you speak against the government, your life either being threatened, you've been in danger, or you just got placed in jail completely, right? And as someone who came from Cambodia, who come to the United States at 13 years old and have fully understanding the American dream, the American value of this country, understand how important it is to have a free and fair election, understand how important it is to allow people to speak their mind under our First Amendment in the Constitution. By being a sister city with Battambang or Phnom Penh is not the right thing to do, because Cambodia is a dictator country. We do not want to associate with that kind of politics itself, right? There's a few members in our city of Lowell who are still believing that kind of politics from Cambodia. They stand with them, they support them, and they got some benefit from it, right? And I am not one of them. I'm standing with the opposition party. Even though as a state representative, my main goal is to serve the people in the 18th Middlesex District, pass bill into law that benefit the people in my district and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, bring a resource from the state to the city of Lowell. But I also take a stand in supporting the opposition party in Cambodia, because I believe that there should be a free and fair election and democracy happening in Cambodia. No one should ever have the power, that much power to hold, to able to hurt people because they disagree with you. We're seeing right now in our country, in this country, United States of America, that's why there's so many people are really hyping up and standing in protest and voice their opinion against the Trump administration of their intention of hurting their opposition, all right? And if you disagree with that, if you disagree with the idea of the Trump administration is hurting our democracy in this country, and that's what happened. This have happened for years in Cambodia, and when Mayor Chau, now City Councilor Chau, brought this motion up, that was a really a moment that he did not look at the big picture of it. And the big picture is that as the United States of America, as the city of law, we should not negotiate, or we should not be a close friend with a country that would hurt you if you disagree with you, right? Individually. So that's why I came out and I spoke against the motion in 2023, and I'm still speaking up and showing my support for defending and promoting free and fair election and democracy in Cambodia. That's what I believe in, and that's what I also been doing that as well, and speaking up and defending our democracy here in this country since Trump got elected as a state representative, and even before that. I believe the rule of law that we have right now is something we need to uphold, and that's what we'll continue to do.
I think that was a helpful way to kind of show a distinction on your belief on Cambodia there, or at least I would love to interview Councilor Chau and talk with him about what led him to do that, etc. There's another area that has become a kind of topic of conversation. So a few weeks ago, I forget exactly when, Sokhary Chau went on Inside Lowell. He had an interview with Teddy Panos, and in that interview, he had criticized a vote of yours. So I'm going to describe the critique and then give you a space to kind of respond to that. So it has to do with the state auditor's right to audit the legislature in order to have more transparency. As many people know, in November of 2024, there was a ballot initiative to affirm the state auditor's right to audit the legislature. It passed with 72% of the vote. Then later in 2025, there was a proposed amendment to the rules of the House that would have allowed this audit to take place. It was voted down 127 to 24. The vast majority of representatives voted it down. You voted against it.
The gentleman that you're running against, the incumbent, 18th Middlesex State Rep Tara Hong, sat here in that very seat 2 years ago when he was launching his challenge to then State Rep Ratty Mom. And he supported the audit. He was going to vote for it on the ballot. I think he did vote for it on the ballot. I think he said, I voted for it. And then he took the oath of office. And then the belief is the Speaker of the House told him what he was going to do. And he ultimately, like every single Democrat on Beacon Hill, state rep, state senate, whether they said they were against the audit or for the audit, they all said no.
Really, to do a good job, you have to build trust. You have to build trust with the public. You can't say one thing while you're on the campaign trail and do another thing once you are in office.
Could you explain why you decided to vote against that?
Yeah, so relate to that question, the audit of the state legislature. When the ballot question came out in 2024, I fully support it. I vote for it. I believe that there should be transparency at the State House. And so just a little bit more information about it. Right after we voted on the ballot question 1, before I swore in, the House of Representatives voted to amend to the law that passed, right? To still allowing the state auditor to audit the state legislature, but she needs to hire an independent agency to do so, to make it a fair one and not a political one. Then when I swore in 2025, that question came up again during a House rule debate. A representative from Billerica filed the amendment saying that to allow the state auditor to audit the House of Representatives. I cannot talk on behalf of the Senate, but I can talk on the House side of it as a House member. When that amendment came out, before we have to vote on it, I have many conversations since first day I got into this position with so many members of the House of Representatives, from the Speaker office, Chairman Amin, Majority Leader, to all the way to the Chair of Judicial Committee itself. Try to understand what is the state auditor intention is, right? And then when the vote come out to allow it to vote on that amendment, I vote no on it. The reason why I vote no on it is I do not believe that in her best intention to audit the House for the right reason. We voted, instead of voted completely no to the amendment, we allowed her to audit the state legislature by hiring an independent agency to do so. So that way it's not a political audit, it's a fair and a professional one. And that's what we did. She still can, she can hire any independent agency she wanted to be to audit any topic she want on the House of Representatives side. But she, at the moment, she just chooses not to do so. We put this rule in because we believe that that is the best intention, the best way to follow the vote that the people vote on, but also without violating the Constitution of Massachusetts, the check and balance that we have, right? We should not, one branch should not have so much power over the other. The legislative branch is our own independent branch. The executive branch is their own. The judicial branch is their own. I believe that the executive branch should not have so much power over us, and then we have no check and then there will no check and balance to keep everybody accountable, right? In the vote that we did, again, we allowed her to audit us by hiring an independent agency. So there's no political, but a fair one. And I believe that that is the best option to give her that authority to audit us. And coming down, talk about the audit stuff on like financial audit. Financial audit is being audited every single year from the House side. You can visit the State Comptroller website. In there, it lists out everything about any spending or any payroll that the House the House of Representatives is spent on. Everything is being reported and being audited every single year. And talking about each individual state representative, how they spend their campaign money and those kind of stuff, you can visit the OCPF website, and all of that in there, it's reported every single thing about where the money go, how much money we got, who donated, those kind of stuff. Everything is transparent. Everything I personally, I believe that everything is open. It's an open book to allowing our community, our voter, to know where all the money go. And you can check my OCPF right now, and you can see where all the money's spending, how many people who donate to my campaign, those kind of stuff. And again, State Control website, all the report about the financial audit is all in there. And with the intention of the state auditor, all the noise that she is making right now, I still not fully understand what is the ask is to audit us. But I also would like to see going forward about what does the Supreme Judicial Court have to say about this, right? We will learn more about what the judge have to say. Is this constitutional or unconstitutional in give her this power? So that's why I vote what I did in the beginning of my term. But beside the audit stuff, right? The House this year, the House of Representatives this year is way more transparent than many years before. We allowed all committee vote public.
Huge.
That's huge. That's a fight that we've been fought for many years. Even before I got elected, even before I was in the political arena. But when I ran in 2022 and 2024, that's what I ran on, to be able to fight and open that book and open that door so people can know what each of the committee have done, vote on. There's even a timeline of when the committee should call a public hearing. So there should be that, because then there'll be enough time so people can know should they want to speak on support the bill or oppose the bill, right? That's a huge thing that we have in the House side of it that never happened before. That's a fight that we fought for, and we able to accomplish it in this session early of 2025. So that's the win that we had. But coming back to the audit, that is the vote. The vote that I take to vote against that amendment, that is the best interest of the people, the best interest of our rule of law and our Massachusetts Constitution, and that is something that we'll have to see what the court have to say.
So I'm going to try and summarize the concern and then see if that sounds right. So it sounds to me like you and many in the legislature are supportive of being audited, and that an action that has kind of shown that is the saying we can have an independent auditor complete an audit. The concerns, go ahead. With the choice of the state auditor to choose an independent agency, so she can choose any independent agency she wants to audit us. Yeah. Right. So that still leaves that ball in her court to be able to do that. Yeah. Gives her some level of choice. But I want to kind of understand, for people who are less familiar, essentially, I mean, it sounds to me like a lot of people do not trust that Diana DiZoglio, current state auditor, would complete an audit in a way that aligns with what the voters believe they voted on.
Correct.
So why? Why do people feel that way?
Well, going back to many years before I jumped into this position and got elected, the state auditor itself used to be a House member and the Senate member. She have a lot of disagreement and story that I don't have complete story about it to tell everybody publicly, but she have her time and moment of disagreement with the House and the Senate leadership, and that's her campaign when she ran for state auditor, to fully audit the state legislature. And imagine this: if you in a workplace and you work there many years, or you just get into the job, your old worker come in with power saying that I want to audit you because without saying publicly, we used to have this disagreement, so now I have the power to chase after you, right? Imagine that in your workplace. Will you think that is the best and fair way to do it or not, right? What the House did, again, going back to allow her to give her the authority to hire an independent agency, because any audit that's happening, we want it to be a fair and an honest and a complete report audit, not an audit to chase and destroy people, right? Financial audit is available to public every single year. It's already there, and that is our concern about this overreach of power. With any ballot question that passed into law by the people, the state legislature still have the ability under the Constitution to amend the law that was passed to make it work according to our Constitution in Massachusetts. And that's what we did in our capacity to uphold the people's voice and to able to still give her the authority to audit us by having an independent agency to do so.
That helps me understand. Okay, very last thing. Because of the way human attention works, I find that we are often drawn to the recent big event, the recent kind of visible and immediate emergency that draws our attention. Recently we had our president threatening to end a civilization in Iran. And that drew my attention. And I feel like I need to think about that because that's a very scary thing. Mm-hmm. And before it was, things going on in Minnesota, and then it's et cetera, et cetera. And I feel we're being pulled the way attention works, we're pulled in so many different directions. It is hard then to pay the attention that we should be paying to the kind of slow rolling disaster of climate change. And so I figured it would be worth the time to carve out a moment to ask about that. So what policies would you advocate for, not only to prevent climate change, but also recognizing that it's already happening to help to mitigate the impacts of climate change?
Right. Well, on that topic, as you may remember, last November, the House TUE, Department of TUE, was putting out this energy bill for us to vote on to help find a way to save the ratepayer, right? But in the energy bill itself, it's really rolling back. There's so many climate goals that we already set a few years before that already to help bring our state to be a green state and so on, to save our environment. And as a state representative, when that bill come out, that was really a no-no to me. There's so many rollback that will affect our environment. So I was able to, working with other colleagues from Progressive Caucus, to team up and voice our opinion and concern about the bill, and to saying that, this bill's not only gonna not helping the ratepayer, but also gonna hurt our environment as well in the near future. We understand that what's going on from the federal government of rolling back the climate change policy, but we shouldn't follow along what they're doing. We need to find different revenue to do so. So by us coming together, voice our opposition to the bill, we're able to pass and that bill come to the House floor to vote on. And then we vote on a few months ago in this year in the energy bill that not only saving and protecting any rollback in our climate goal, but also helping saving our ratepayer from the utility bill as well, and also addressing more about the data center, keep them accountable in each of the community that we're in, right? And that's that I would say that is something that is, I truly believe that climate change is a big issue in our community, in our country, in our world, that we need to take it more seriously, and without a partner at the federal government, just make our work just a little bit harder in working and address this issue together. I know the governor is working really closely with Canada and using their energy, clean energy, to bring it down to Massachusetts.
Right now, energy from Quebec is flowing through the New England Clean Energy Connect transmission line and into Bay State homes. The long-delayed line has been in the works for a decade, and it is expected to carry up to 1,090 megawatts of electricity into Massachusetts. It will be responsible for about 20% of the state's overall electricity. Delays plagued this project for years, primarily because the transmission line flows through neighboring states, leading to court battles, conservation concerns, and Massachusetts ratepayers fronting the bill for an 145-mile portion of the line that flows through Maine. Governor Healy says the line is functional just in time.
It's cold right now. People are grappling with their energy bills, and this power right away is going to provide relief.
That is something I fully support, and without using more fossil fuel and that hurting our environment with carbon monoxide, those kind of stuff. So. Yeah,
that Canada connection is huge. You mentioned the federal administration and the way they're not being a very good partner in this realm. I was thinking about the offshore wind project on the Cape, and how the federal administration had tried to stop that from continuing to be built.
Right.
I was thinking, like, if we want to protect ratepayers and keep the cost of energy down, and if you also want to transition to clean energy, it seems to me that we should be trying to create energy abundance, right? Trying to site more solar panels, site more wind turbines, so that there's more supply, and then we can, have better costs. Has there been any conversation about that?
Yeah, so the government administration been a fully supporter of trying to protecting those offshore wind.
As governor, I am very focused on lowering costs for residents, for businesses. That includes energy costs. One thing we don't need is energy supply to our region cut off. And unfortunately, that's what we're seeing by the Trump administration's move to kill jobs and to literally take away power by dismantling wind operations on the East Coast.
And in the energy bill itself, we put more policy to support in expanding or the use of solar across the Commonwealth, right? It is something that when we draft all this policy, try to help protect a ratepayer. The energy bill right now are passed the House, but it's still in the Senate. The Senate still have to take on it. The Senate do have more. They will take more look into it in the sense of, I heard that they will bring more to like saving mass save, those kind of stuff, right? That is something that we was unable to do, but those are some of the program that I truly believe in it, support it, and hoping that after the Senate bill come out, their version we can support it together. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the cuts to mass save. I'm on the Lowell Sustainability Council, and we just at our last meeting we're talking about that, about the concern for, we have the energy advocate in Lowell who helps people get connected with so many different services, and he's funded by that, and so it would be horrible to lose that. Yeah. Okay, you've been very generous with your time. I wanted to thank you for taking the time to sit down, and we went pretty in depth on a lot of issues. At the very end here, I don't know if you had any kind of closing statement, anything you wanted people to know. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Ryan, for this opportunity to have this conversation, serious conversation in a lot of topic. I hope that I able to answer most of them and in a detailed way, and why I do what I do in my position as a state representative in serving the best interests of the people in the 18th Middlesex District and pass policy that will benefit us all in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I am really honored to be able to serve in this position for a year and 4 months insofar in my first term. And as you mentioned in the beginning, I am running for my re-election this year for state representative. And I do have a challenger for this position. And now, City of Lowell right now, I want to emphasize that there are 2 other seats that are being open, both state representative, the 16th and the 17th Middlesex District. And those positions, whoever win that election will come in as a brand new state representative. And as a incumbent right now, we are the only ones still standing that will go in as our second term. It's really important to have someone have some experience and understanding the process of the building, of the politics at the State House, and have those connections to be able to continue to do the work and to be able to continuing to help guide our city in the building itself to continue to promote the greatness of our city of Lowell and fight for bring those funding and resource from the state back to the city. And I'm ready to take on that task to able to hoping to ask everyone's support to get elected for a second term and work closely with our newly upcoming state representative from the 17th and the 16th district, and work together to be a strong delegation to able to be a force at the State House. The election is on September 1st. I know that's a long way to go, but I really wanting people to start understanding the reason why I am running for my re-election. This is not only just for me and for the job itself, but it's for the whole city, because we need someone who have been there to be able to continue the work for our community and the city itself. So thank you so much for the opportunity for being here. I'm looking forward to come back when you allowed me to come back to discuss more policy and work that we are intend to do or have done for our community in the 18th Middlesex District. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.